Thank you for choosing our Patio Heat channel. I'm Steve. We provide tips and information to extend the enjoyment of your patio project. Our videos give you a knowledgeable overview prior to investing in your outdoor heating equipment. Whether you are a professional or owner builder, we provide specific details for optimum heat coverage for your application. Post a comment or question, or for developed visual designs, send your request into designs@patioheat.com. We're here to work with you. For over 30 years, patio heating is the bedrock of our business, expressing what works best. Now let's get heating. All right, so we have this residential application, and let's go right into the overall dimensions I received. So I have 8'1" to the top edge here from the finished floor. I have 11' 6 inches from this edge of the wall over here to this outer edge over here. And then I have 24 feet, 2 inches from this point here all the way over to the inside edge over here. They had mentioned that the beam itself here is 11.5 inches tall. And then over here, I have this at 8 inches tall here. I'm not quite sure if I have that shown here, but yeah, this is 8 inches tall on this side over here. Now I do have that recessed a little bit into the ceiling area just by a couple inches, but that should not matter with regards to the actual placement of the heaters that I'm going to show. This fan here I believe was 22 inches wide, and now I placed these beams from here to here at 5 foot center to center. I'm not quite sure if that's the true dimension, but I have a 4 foot 6 inch gap between this point and this point, which is kind of important to know for sure, but still it may not have anything to do with the actual placement of the heaters themselves that I'm going to show at least. Now there are, it looks like some storage or doors here. Not quite sure if they swing out or push in. I'm assuming they swing out, but again, it's something else that may not be that important. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other things. I'm going to go ahead and turn off that. We're looking at the seating position over here. Now I have it pushed away from the wall slightly, I think about 18 inches away from the wall. And then I also have the seating positions out here that are almost halfway outside of the covered section of the patio. There's a hanging type of chair over here, a bench over here. I'm not sure if this is an area that they also want to have heated, so I'm just going to be focusing on this space over here really at this point. If we want to go a little bit further, we can, but let's go ahead and look at what type of heaters I might place in an application like this. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the CD6024s, and let's go ahead and move this over here real quick. I want to show you, so there is a clearance that we need to meet, and with this drop down here, we're going to have to adjust the actual height that we're placing the units at. So what I have right now is I have these at 6 inches from this edge here. Let me just get a arrow here. So from this edge here to this edge over here, I have it 6 inches. However, you can see that we're not going to meet the clearances below the heater over here. Let's see how I can show that better. Let me pull this over here, and we'll look right around here. You can see how the clearances are not making the proper clearance on this edge over here. So the heater itself is going to have to be dropped down slightly, and let's go ahead and just let's go ahead and turn off the clearance here for a second, and we'll move the heater down from this point to the actual height right here. That's 2 inches. So you would have to get a 2-inch longer bracket. The brackets right here that come with the heater, that one is maintains a 6-inch clearance, so you can get one that is an 8-inch length clearance, which adds 2 more inches to what the OEM bracket is. So now we should be able to see, and we may even have to do slightly more. I'm just remembering that we have 18 inches that we need to meet over here. So let's see. I apologize, my mouse system isn't working as well as it normally is. So yeah, we're actually about an inch off still with regards to clearances. So let's go ahead and I'm going to turn on some geometry here real quick, and we're going to move the heater down an additional, let's see if we can get that height here proper. So that's only a ½ inch further. They only make these brackets here. Let's go ahead and move this over here. So they only make these brackets 2 inch longer, 4 inch longer, and 6 inches longer. So what you may be able to do is just put on, you know, the top edge here a block of a ½ inch and get the 2 inch longer bracket, and then meet those clearances that I'm showing over here, something of that nature. But you want to make sure that you are meeting the clearances. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this off here again, let's see if we can get in a good position here to look. But yeah, you want to make sure that there's clearances over here and you know, all around the unit itself. So let's do one more thing here, and we're going to go ahead and just adjust this unit itself. I'm going to take the clearance off for a second and move it down as well. So we'll go from here to the same height of this here. And now we'll go ahead and look at the footprint of heat. I should probably also show the distance I have from the wall. So let's go ahead and get that distance here. So if I was to show this point to the actual edge of the wall here, see if I can pull that in here. Let me move this around here. There we go. Okay, so that's 2 feet 2 3/4 of an inch that I have from the edge of the wall. And let's go ahead and look at the footprint of heat now. And you can see why I have that distance away. And the reason why is because I wanted to make sure that we're heating up the whole entire seating position as much as possible. Now, we're not hitting this particular spot right here. However, we have about I'd say 3/4 of a foot of overlapping rays. So this would be heated, just not 100% like the rest of the area over there. Also, just to note that with that distance that I have, you know, these chairs here really aren't heated properly as well. So on a colder day, it would be better probably just to move, rather than, you know, putting in, you know, let's say 4 units, you know, 2 back there and 2 over here. Let's go ahead and just move those chairs back over here for that seating position on those colder days. That's kind of what I would, you know, really recommend. Now, these are CD 6024s, and if I pull this out here, you're going to look at this and go, wow, this is really covering the area much, much more. But the fact of the matter is that the heater itself is really designed for a proper output of heat. So the intensity of the heat is really designed for a little bit higher of an application. Again, this is about 8 foot off the finished floor, and the intensity is designed for, like I said, a little bit higher of an application. The real ray does come out further. However, this is the main footprint that the manufacturer states is the best for this application when it's mounted at the proper height. So let's go ahead and look at placing possibly a different unit here. These are the slimline units now. I'm going to take off the CD model, and I should also say something about the CD model. Let me step back here real quick and just state that these are 6,000 watt, 240 volts, 25 amps a piece. What you could do is you could put a dimmer type of system on this where you're dimming down the units so the intensity isn't as high, and the footprint of heat, or the intensity for this seating position won't be as intense as it would be right here. Should you place the dimmer down to say, like, say 70%, 80%, depending on what that true temperature is, during that particular time of the year. Now, if we went back and we placed those slimline, and the slimline, I like this for a different reason as well. Number one, these are 4,000 watt units, so their intensity is less. You can also put a control panel on these units and then really dial it into what you really like. But they are designed for a lower mounting height, so the intensity is proper for this position here. You can see we're getting a better coverage here. And again, 6 inches of clearance minimum, and I actually have them a little bit further than that 6 inches of clearance, just because I centered them within the span of the other units themselves. So you could move it over a little bit further so that you have 6 inches. The CD model is a little bit larger. The slimline is 5 inches wide, and these are 8 inches wide. So the CDs, that is. Also, you can see that we need to move this one down again, that 2.5 inches in height. Another way that you can actually move these down is just by taking a piece of steel plate and then just lowering the unit, drilling holes in that steel plate, lining it up with this so that you have that right height for the units themselves. And yeah, so this is going to be probably my preferred models, the slimline series. The other reason why I'm going to say that is just because we have a lot of square edges here on the project itself, and I just think that the slimline units themselves would match that that position, or that design, a little bit nicer. I have it at the same distance from the wall, essentially. They're a couple inches closer just because of the distance of the heater itself, or the length of the heater itself is a little bit different. Yeah, this would be my preferred application. Again, we do need to drop these down. We'll go ahead and do that to, I'm going to go 2.5 inches, and yeah, we're going to be meeting those clearances on the back edge from the bottom of the heater itself. So that's the clearance to the bottom of the heater, and that's 18 inches out, 36 inches down, and that 18 inches is on all 4 sides. But yeah, that would be my preferred application. Now, if you were to say, well, I really like to have these centered within the patio structure itself, this is kind of look at what that would look like. Would it be nice? This is kind of just an estimated distance here, but we're not covering as much as I would really like to. However, you could change this slightly if you're going to do something like this, where you could change the actual angle of the heater itself. And let's see if I can get in here. If I was to change the angle of the heater itself, let's just go maybe 15 degrees here, maybe even 10 degrees. I'm going to go with 10 degrees first of all, and then I'm going to actually just change this, put this one over here, and let's see if we can get in here real quick. Sorry for the delay on this. Let's go with, so what I'm going to do here is just align this one up here with the edge of the bracket here, and I will be deleting this particular unit here. So would this work? It looks like it would work fairly decently. You would have good overlapping rays. It would look a little bit nicer as far as the visual aspect of the placement of the units. Again, using a longer bracket so that you can actually place this and meet the clearances. You can see that we are now approximately, further than 18 inches away in the center position, so that shouldn't be an issue. You could actually move the units back up if that's the true distance that I showed earlier. Let's just go ahead and put that up against the ceiling again, and yeah, I think that would be something that would work out where you could meet the clearances to combustibles, and that would be a good overlapping ray like this. And then if you really wanted to go ahead and possibly move these out, I'm just going to show what that looks like and show how the coverage would be slightly different. So let's go ahead and just move these. We'll go approximately 24 inches. And would that heat up that sofa area? Let me just take the top off here for a second and look at that. So would it heat up the sofa area? Not as much as I would like. If I was sitting here, I would prefer that seating position to be more heated. And are we really heating this position over here? Slightly better, so it depends really on how that seating really is going to be utilized most of the time. If this is the focal point over here, then I would leave the heaters where I had them before. And let me just see if I can show that again. Yeah, there we go. And take the top off again. Yeah, so that's where I had them before, and you can see that the heated space over here is really, really nice. And again, on those colder days, simply moving the seating positions in closer and or move the seating positions over here would be better. But yeah, that would be my preferred application here overall. So all right, well, I hope this has helped. If you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application and you would like us to review your plan, send your information into designs@patioheat.com. I'm Steve. Please tap that like button if you find this video useful. We don't advertise, we're not monetized. YouTube does not support us unless we receive a thumbs up from our viewers. We truly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have an excellent day.